Top of the day, family. This is your brother Samal here for another episode here at the Artist Journal. We are reporting live here in, Diani, Kenya. We was up in Nairobi a few weeks back. Now we on the coastal region of Kenya. If you haven't yet, family, just in case you forgot, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe to the platform. Since being in Kenya, our platform has grown exponentially because of you guys. So I want to say thank you all for tuning in and supporting. Today we have a beautiful, eclectic, artsy guest in Robbie Matthews. She is the CEO of Raw Pearls, entrepreneur at the highest level, fashion designer, stylist, I'm going to say farmer, and also an art therapist, family. Who would have thought to fuse therapy in with art, you know? So, without further ado, Robbie, I want to say welcome to the platform.
Thank you very much. Happy
Excellent.
to be a part of this.
Absolutely, absolutely. I've been itching to get on here and chop it up with you, so I know I'm going to learn a lot today. Just based on what I saw on Instagram, Facebook, you just a bustling package of art,
Yeah.
So just looking forward to the convo. So before we get into it, did you want to express anything or say anything before we start?
No, it's definitely a privilege to be talking to you this morning here in the United States and your afternoon in Kenya.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so uh, I can't wait to talk about art therapy and all the good stuff that comes with that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And actually, I want to thank my good brother Richard and his wife for linking us up, putting us together. There always been a ton of support for us anytime that I get out the country and move around. He's right there with me, supporting every step of the way. So just want to give a shout out to him. So, Robbie, without further ado, for people who are not privy to or even know that you can fuse the two worlds together, art and therapy, could you bring us up to speed as to what all of that is about?
So I try to keep things very simple. When I describe or think about art therapy, I think of it's where art and psychology dance together to give you a therapeutic experience. Art therapy allows you to have an expression with materials, with art materials. Oftentimes, through trauma, we lose our voice. And so, art speaks your subconscious, right? It also formulates a community because when you're creating, if you're creating in a group, that's your community at the time. It
Right.
also gives you, it helps to build self-efficacy. It helps to build your confidence. One thing I always, a lot of times clients will say, well, I'm not an artist. I'm not good at it. You don't have to be. Every piece that you create is your masterpiece. And so, however you view it, what your perspective is of that piece, that's all that matters in that moment.
Got you.
Hmm.
I saw that you do a lot of, can I say, nonprofit work in Pennsylvania, and that's dealing with art therapy.
So, I actually work for an outpatient unit. So I have clients that I work with one-on-one, but I also run an art therapy group session. I also freelance art therapy in Maryland at a drug and alcohol facility. And I think one of the coolest things is to put on the Temptations or the Stylistics and watch 20 plus men and women create art and sing while they're creating that art. Like it is, for me, it's like a piece of heaven here on earth when I see that, because when you see people engage um, for over an hour and don't want to leave, want to stay, and want to talk about their artwork, you know that the process of that therapy is taking effect. I also freelance in Jersey City. So I'm all over the place. I'm always on the road, but this is like my purpose. And so when you're walking in your purpose, your full purpose of why you're here on this earth, it becomes an adventure that you fiend for. You know, it's like I'm living what I was created to be and do.
Robbie, question for you. How long did it take you to understand what your purpose was? Because I know, like for me, I'm still, as an artist myself, I'm still trying to find, like, certain artists have a signature. Anytime they put out a piece, you know that this is Bansky, or you know that that's Basquiat. So it's like I'm still trying to find my way in that regard. Is it the same for you? Like, did it take a long time, or you just knew instantly?
So the craziest thing is, um, I was vending quite a bit in DC and Maryland, and I had started to travel. I went to um, Michigan, we did Atlanta. And so my walk with the Lord opened up one evening when God really impressed upon my heart. He said, he called me a pagan. And I was like, oh my God, what is going on here? And so eventually he said to me, you have gotten trapped in the snare that many of my people are being destroyed in, which is the love of money. He said, you equate who you are by what you create.
Wow.
And so every time I'd open up my word, I would hear the story where the young man called Jesus good master. And told him, he said, sell everything, give it to the poor, and come and follow me. And he could not do it.
Couldn't do it.
And so I chose to do it. I shut everything down. And at 4 o'clock, even before War Room came out, that movie, I literally would go in my closet and spend time with the Lord. And no matter where I was at night, at 7 o'clock, wherever I was, I would tell people I have a date, and I would go home and spend time with God. And so finally, over a year, yeah, it was over a year. I had actually started, before I set everything down, I had started painting a mural on my wall in my kitchen. And so I stopped everything. And people were calling me from all over to do work for them, to create bags, because people knew me from my bags, because I lost all of my hair to universalis alopecia in 2004. And only 1% ever get their hair back. And so that's how the bag thing started for me, designing bags. But anyway, so I shut everything down. Now I'm spending time with God. And so after a year, he says to me, you're going to now use this gift to help other people. Uh, Prior to that, I was in college, grew up my mom raised me single. Dad was the second African American bail bondsman in Colorado. So he hustled those streets a different way. My mom and dad came from two different sides of the railroad track.
Got you.
So I so my mom wanted me to go to Clark, and because she went to Spelman, And that was culture shock for me because I had always been around white kids. And so I go to Clark, could not adapt. I was like, oh my God, there's too many Black people here. Crazy, right?
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow.
And so GPA was a 1.8, failing, like F. So now fast forward, God tells me you're going to use this gift to help others. Then he says, I'm to go to school. And he gave me favor with this lady who wrote a letter for me to get into Cedar Crest, which is was an all women's college. And just looking at the roster of everything that they offered, growing up as a kid, I wanted to be a psychiatrist, but I didn't, because I had such low self-esteem. I didn't think I was smart enough to do that. And so when I first started out in college, I went into early childhood education, and that just wasn't something that I really wanted to do either. But art therapy, that was like on the money. That was perfect because, in high school, in the private schools, I had to work extra hard. Didn't think I was the smartest tool in the tool chest. And so when I discovered the art was at home, I had a desk, and for my 16th birthday, she gave me a telephone, and that was a big thing back then. And so I would sit and doodle on this desk. And one day she comes in my room and she's like, Robbie, did you do this? And I thought I was in trouble. And I said, yes. She said, oh my God, this is wonderful. My mom's a fine arts psychology major. I
Mm.
was always exposed to the arts.
Right.
And that was the beginning of my aha moment, even though my mother stimulated that art by giving me a corner in our basement laundry room. Now I know she would throw her junk at me and I would just create out of whatever she gave me. And so that is why I'm also a collage artist. And so anyway, now I'm in the art therapy program. They accepted me. They even gave me, they started me at, I think, first semester, junior, I think. And that's even with having a GPA at 1.8. So
Mm.
that right there was God's favor. If He chooses to do what He's going to do for you, nothing can stop that, right?
That's a fact.
And so started the art therapy program, um, made the dean's list. And what's also crazy is that even being in private school, somewhere I missed phonics. And so I didn't read very well. And when I gave my life to the Lord, I started reading a lot of books that way. And that was His preparation for me for college, right?
Yeah.
And while I was in undergrad, Cedar Crest was working on developing a master's program. And the professor that was overseeing that said to me, I would always say, oh, I want to get my master's. And she encouraged me so, and she was such a cheerleader for me. She eventually left the school before I started the master's program because I went to school part-time. So it took me forever. And I didn't go back to college until I was almost 50.
Wow.
And so I stayed in school almost 12 years, a long time. Well, about 11 years. But I then was accepted in the master's program. And the one thing that I discovered is that, first of all, at Cedar Crest, there aren't There weren't any African American professors. Um, and most of the pioneers, so to say, with art therapy were all middle class Caucasians, right? And so I pretty much, there weren't hardly any people of color in the art therapy program. Not until it was almost time for me to graduate, and it was only a handful. And I'm
Got you.
the first African American art therapist in the Lehigh area where I live. And so, one of the things that I do want to do eventually is start a scholarship program to encourage people of color to take part in this, because as a therapist, when you're dealing with clients, especially clients of color, I feel like they need to see somebody that looks like them, that's relatable to them.
Hmm.
Yeah.
We're gonna stay there for a minute, and we're gonna jump over to Kenya. You had started a school, or looking to start a school for young people in Kenya. That's correct.
Yeah, so I went to Kenya in 2018. I have always had a heart for Kenya. I know God put that inside of me. That is
Hmm.
another part of my purpose. So let me go back one step. The one
Okay.
thing that once God released me, and He said to me that I would use this gift to help other people, He then opened up even more the love for Kenya. And there was an intern at a shelter that I worked at that was from Kenya, and he said, when I finish my master's, I'm going back. I haven't been back in 7 years. And I said to him, I'm going to go with you. And he didn't believe me, but when he was ready to go, I was ready to go too. And the minute my feet hit the ground there, it felt like home. Um, I the ideas, because I'm a visionary, just started to just come from everywhere. Like I was just like, oh my God, I want to do this, I want to do that. And before I left, I had taken a sketchbook with me and some markers, some pencils and stuff, because I was starting to draw these little characters. And I had asked this gentleman if I needed to bring anything, and he said no. So we're in his house, and I'm drawing, and all of these children started to come around the table and wanted to draw.
Mm.
And that for me was like, oh my God. And so I met a young girl whose artwork was amazing, and she was in a boarding school. And through her artwork, I was able to see that she wasn't very happy with being in that school because she was
Mm.
away from her family. And the one thing that I saw in Kenya is that they're very family oriented.
Oriented. Yeah.
Like family, literally, they line all of their sofas up against the wall so everybody can sit together, you know.
That's a fact.
And so I think even just from looking at her work, there were contemplation of self-injury, and some other things were going on in her artwork. And so at that point, I was just like, I wanted to open up. Um, I wanted to open up originally an art school, but when I went back the second time, God opened up the whole vision that I was going to open up this art school for little girls that were pregnant for the first time. Because trauma starts when you're young. And if it's not addressed when you're young, it's like garbage in a bucket, right? You just keep putting trauma on top of trauma, and then it eventually has to come out somewhere. So he then let me know this school I would take in 5 girls to start out with. That's the number of grace. And that is also a number that would allow me to make sure nobody falls through the cracks. So they would come there and be able to get the treatment that they need. They would have their babies, so the babies would also be taken care of. Then they would be uh, able to take part in the creativity that they're surrounded by. And then my desire would be to bring back the items that they've created back to the state so that they would have a form of income, but also have a form of recognition, right? So I came in 2023. I had given some money to this one guy. Long story short, he ended up taking my money. The agreement was that once I got there, I would be able to look at the land, and if I didn't like the land, they would give me another parcel. And they decided to, they wanted to give me more, charge me more for that land than what
Wow.
it surveyed at. Like the land was only worth 8,500. They wanted like 40 something thousand. And
Games people play.
games people play. So, we're still, the court hearing now got moved to January next year. And I guess at some point, I'm going to just, however God is going to do it. But now it's like trying to gain the money again, get the money again, and find resources or find land where I can start the process of this again.
What region of Kenya was you in when you first came?
So I was in Nairobi. The young lady that hosted me lived in Nairobi.
I wrote.
I went to Kisii. That land was in Kisumu. And so the one thing that I want is for the land to be near water because just, water is tranquil. I want kind of, I don't want to say island feel, but I want just a very um, tranquil, warm environment. And I needed to be in a community that I can trust. But oftentimes, when you're dealing with such levels of poverty, right, it's hard to trust because it's
People are hungry.
people are hungry and they need to feed their families or need to feed themselves. They need shelter. So um, for all that being said, I just want to be where God wants me to be, because the mission has to happen. Like, this is my purpose. Emphatically, hands down, I can tell you that I will always be with those that are without shelter. I will deal with the widows and I will be with children. I was created for that.
Got you. Well, Jessica and I, we are down on the coast.
Hmm.
We Diani Beach is like 10 miles worth of coastline.
Yeah.
We are here in the thick of it. And it's funny that we talking and having this conversation. We just acquired a workshop here, and it's a 7-minute walk to the beach.
Oh,
In videos to come, you're gonna see, like we're gonna put up one maybe tomorrow, so you'll be able to see the structure, the environment, and the other artists that we're working with. But that's a beautiful idea to help assist and cater to young women that need that kind of assistance here.
yeah.
You know, I see the need for that here. You
It
know,
the coolest thing is that the Lord, the very shelter that I started working at as an administrative assistant, And then I moved to a counselor. And at that point, moving to being a counselor, I started school. And then a couple of years after that, they called me back as a director of that shelter. And God sent me there to learn all of the nooks and crannies of running a shelter, right? So that that knowledge could be used for the next step of this school, right? Um, and so I think stepping into that realm, I realized I have an artist's brain. So, with the artist's brain, it's like, why can't we just all get along and just do art and be happy, man?
That's all we want to do, right?
So, um,
Yo,
I'm just ecstatic about meeting you and your wife. I can't wait to meet her and being a part of your community. I don't know how to dream little. My mother used to say, your ideas are as good as anybody else, and so dream big. And so
absolutely.
I have a goat shed in my backyard where my goats are, and I had this guy come and do graffiti on it, and at the top of it, it says "Dream Big." And so every day I'm reminded, to dream big, that I'm not scared. So I'm saying all that to say that I see us doing some really big things together.
The video that I put out today is entitled, what I entitled it, babe? How to chase your dreams, and
Wow.
then the money will chase you.
Yes.
So I led into the video with Will Smith. It was a short clip, and he said that he's at the end of his fame and money. He done did everything.
Yes.
He find himself in a place where he's just empty,
Yes.
empty. And he said that true wealth, true life is family, and being able to go within,
Yes.
look at that man in the mirror and deal with those issues.
Yes.
The money and the fame is nothing but a distraction.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it goes toward, what it says in the good book, that the man that gaineth the whole world,
And
but
lose.
lose his soul.
Yep.
So it's a fine line between pursuing money
Yep.
and living what your real purpose is. We
Yep.
have to be able to find what that is.
Yep.
And it's just amazing that a, a person can go an entire lifetime
And not know
and
why.
just be asleep.
Yep.
And you make transition, you get out of this world, never even tasting
Yep.
life.
Yep.
So I'm with you.
You have to know why you're here. You have to. And most people don't push enough or ask enough. Why am I here? And I can remember as a kid laying in the front yard, looking up at the sky and saying, why am I here? I
Mm,
actually have a line called Purpose, a clothing
mm.
line called Purpose.
Wow, wow.
And I just finished designing t-shirts that have purpose on it. And in the back, it says, what is your purpose? And it's like blurred because just like you're saying, you can be distracted with fame, fortune, money, this, that, but if that stuff grows old, and how
Yeah,
many houses can you live in? How many cars can you drive? How many places can you travel? And if you're doing all of that empty, you're not doing life. And that's why God says He came to give us life and give it to us abundantly. The abundance of life is operating, knowing why you're here, and letting God, I say, use you as a paintbrush, right?
absolutely.
Because He paints the most beautiful pictures, because in the beginning He created, and His creativity is part of our DNA. So we all have it. But without the orchestrator of that creativity, you don't understand what it is, right? You can't use it to its fullest. The coolest thing for me is to be in an art therapy session and a client lays down their work and God gives me insight on what that work is, and then I'm able to speak what he tells me, and then he does the rest. I was in one art there at the assistant living program, and I looked at this brother and I heard the word barbecue, and God has given me the capacity. It's called words of knowledge. And so I heard the word barbecue. So after we're doing our intervention, and I go to him and I go, um, I heard barbecue when I saw you. And then the Lord said, um, I am going to give you recipes in dreams, in your sleep. You're to write them down. Your sauce is going to be in Whole Foods and Trader Joe's. You need to start thinking of a name for this business. This guy looks at me and he goes, oh my God, I just did some barbecue and some sauce last night for the
Wow.
house that we live in. He said, and everybody cleaned me out. Do you know how hopeful it is to be able to? People are looking for a word. They're
Absolutely.
looking to be loved. They're looking to be acknowledged. They're looking to feel that they have worth. And to be able to be a vessel for the Lord that brings that work to someone that doesn't know, it's that is everything to me. It's everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So before the whole Kenya experience that you had, looking back at it, for the many people that will be looking onto this video, what would your advice be to them? Far as doing business, far as creating something here, looking back at your experience, what would your advice to them be?
Take your time. Make sure that you trust the process of moving, being able to make it happen in Kenya or anywhere in a third world country. Find a community that you can really trust. Um, and let the pieces fall the way they're supposed to fall, right? Because everything that we go through, whether it's good or bad, there's a lesson behind it, right? I had to go through that to gain a lesson from it, right? I mean, that could have tapped into bitterness, unforgiveness. You took my money, blah, blah, blah. And God, I had to forgive. I had to also endurance, perseverance. If this is something that been called to do, I can't stop because one bad thing happens, right?
Got you.
You get to see what you're made of when you interact against things that are not good, and then you are able to accept and really appreciate the good things that happen. Like meeting you, this is not coincidental. This is a divine connection, right? And when
Absolutely.
God chooses to open up your doors, no man can shut them. And when he shuts them, no man can open. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
take your time. Yep.
For sure. I was looking on your one of your platforms and I saw you have clothes in the airport.
Yeah. I
How does
have
that work?
I have a little stand at the airport here in Allentown. It's a small airport. I am working on getting into the airport in Maryland. It's a process.
You talking about BWI?
Yeah, uh-huh.
Wow, that'll be
Um,
big.
yeah, and I'm also I have some of my clothes at Wheaton Mall in Wheaton,
Right.
Maryland, and met a young lady there who also works she's developing a program for Reagan National and Dulles Airport. And so in September, I'll start her class. And once I finish that by next year, um, I should be in National Airport.
Wow.
So that's just going, those two airports are going to help broaden the scope for me to be able to, have the funds and have a venue to be able to play some of the art from the individuals, the young girls that I'll be working with in Kenya. Like I have to have somewhere for them to be able to put their pieces. I also have always desired to have my clothing in internationally. And so I did a interview for a fashion show in Baltimore. It's a big fashion show under Lana Ray. And there were two interviews to that. And I made the first cut, but I didn't make the second cut. And God is still gracious because one of my male models, my only male model for that event, brought a young lady to me who had seen the outfit that he had on. And she asked me, how far will you travel? And I said, oh, I'll travel. And so she said, would you come to Canada, Toronto? I was like, oh my God. So I'll be going to Canada July the 17th for a fashion show there. And
Please.
I'm hoping to do their Montreal fashion show. I I hope to see my things in Amsterdam and Germany and Spain, like all
Mm.
over the international scope. That's
Right.
dreaming big, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, my lady, my wife Jessica, she's as we speak putting together a clothing line also.
Okay.
And Robbie, when I tell you these pieces have a lot going on. Actually, this is one of the hats. It's called Safi Sana.
Oh, nice.
Safi Sana means like super fresh.
Oh, I love it.
But these, well, let me save it. I don't want to give them too much, you know.
Okay.
But in the next few videos, you're gonna see more and more as we roll it out. Um, what else? What else? What else? So if you can share with the family all of your social media platforms, so maybe they might want to come and get a piece from you. Where can they find you?
So this is the hardest. This is the part that I really need help in is my social media platform. Um,
Mm,
rawpearls.com is my website, and we're still working on that. And I also, I'm sorry.
it's okay.
I also have the Raw Pearls is my Instagram. So I'm hoping to get some help with that because I just I can't do everything. And
What kind of help you need?
so I really need somebody to do my social media, like get help to upload all of my clothing. And the hardest thing is that my clothing is one of a kind. So once I sell it, that's it. And I usually only do maybe 3 to 4
Got
um, out of that product line. And then once it's sold, then I'm on to something
got
else.
you, got you.
So
Okay,
I need to figure that piece out. I know that I need to probably come up with um, a staple line, where that's something that I will have a supply of. Hopefully, like the t-shirts will be a part of that. And I'm doing some really cool aprons, kind of kick off from Picasso, but my version of Robbie Picasso. And so maybe some things like that I can figure out how to get them on.
got you.
Yeah. And then my bags, my leather bags.
Got you, got you. Actually, we work with a sister up in Nairobi. She makes baskets and make like handbags and pocketbooks out of them. Fuses leather. Could you grab one? Sure. And she fuses leather with the actual basket. Fire. Let me show
Okay.
you something. Let me show you something real quick. And I
Okay.
know we are approaching the 45-minute mark. I know you have to run and do some prayers and service.
Let me hold on. Let me get my glasses on.
Okay. So this is one of the bags here.
Oh, I have one of those bags.
Yeah.
I love them, and they're so sturdy. Oh my
Absolutely.
God, you can put everything in those bags.
Yeah, and they last a long time, right?
Yes, they do. Oh, and your cuff that you have on, I love those.
Oh,
Yes.
that's the Maasai.
Nice. Yes. I'm a Maasai. I tell everybody I'm a Maasai.
You look Maasai actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Robbie. So we can close out here. It was an excellent conversation. We have to do a part two
We do.
when we have more time to just flex out, and maybe we can bring some people on the panel and just everybody. We can get up to 10 people on this platform.
That would
So
be fire.
maybe next time it could be more interactive. But I know you have to get on with your day. And I just want to say I appreciate you coming on and sharing some of your time with us.
I appreciate you guys a lot.
Absolutely. Likewise. And we're looking forward to you coming back to Kenya.
Yeah, we need to make that happen. We kind of started that conversation,
Yeah,
but we
well,
need to make it happen.
the wheels are turning on our end. So the brothers putting the pieces together. As soon as we come up with the flyer and everything,
Yeah.
I shoot it straight to you.
Okay.
And I just want to thank everyone for tuning in. This is the Artist Journal. This is your brother. I want to thank Robbie Matthews, entrepreneur, art therapist. We didn't even get a chance to talk about the farm, but next time.
Oh, yes, we have to.
Next time.
Okay.
I want to thank J Cafe for putting things together behind the scenes. If you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe to the platform. This is your brother Samal here. We're going to tune out right here just to tune back in. Okay, Robbie, next time I'll definitely keep in contact with you. I'll shoot you a text sometime this week and we catch up.
Okay, thank you. Thank
Okay,
you.
Robbie.
It was a pleasure. Yes.
Likewise.
All right, bye-bye.